Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Words of old Kris Kringle. Early and often. Rudolph get the sleigh ready. Ponies off, morning skating 5.
Are you kidding me? He was once a year guy.
No,
That's the only time he put out an effort.
Dude, that guy would crush milk and cookies all night.
Right?
Greatest job in the world. Work for, maybe like 2.5 days a year. Crush cookies, come home, pipe down Mrs. Claus, and call it a day. Call it a year.
I love, and this is going to be a little nerdy, but forgive me, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. Off the top, they do a song, but it's from the perspective of aliens who are hearing the story of Christmas 5 times over. Like, he heard it from him, and he heard it from him, and he heard it from him, and he heard it from you, and we wanted to sing you this song, and how they understand what Christmas is. And humans are really weird. We don't know what Christmas is, but it's Christmas time this year. It's a wonderful little intro into the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday season. Because, yeah, you'd think that guy was an alien.
You have anything on your wish list for this year?
Oh, my goodness.
Did you get?
Anything on my wish list?
Can't say cash.
No, honestly, man, I just love the fact that I take 2 weeks off over the holidays and get to just chill and watch movies and binge a little bit and have some Baileys in my coffee and see the excitement on my kids' faces Christmas morning and hanging out with the wife and sleeping. And that to me is the gift in itself. How about you?
Well, is that not the ultimate Christmas gift, though? Dad gives gifts, puts a smile on everybody's face, and Dad gets the smile back. I've seen the joy on the wife and the kid's face.
Well, listen, you come from a culinary background. It's the idea of cooking a meal, right? And then your enjoyment isn't eating that meal yourself. It's watching the reaction on people's faces where they go, and you go, yes, I nailed it.
That is
right?
The greatest feeling.
Right? It's the same idea with Christmas. And when the kids are happy, you're like, oh, nailed it.
They go shovel the driveway, get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was never prouder. I was probably early December when we started getting snow here in Winnipeg. And my boys came to me. They're like, it'd be a lot easier to keep the driveway really clean if we had an ice chipper. Can we get an ice chipper? And I was like, oh, Christmas gift, here we come. Oh, my God. It's happening, finally.
Boys are going places.
Exactly. Yeah.
They got the blue-collar work ethic. That comes right from Fort Mac.
I'm telling you, man, the apple doesn't fall far.
Shout out to Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Yeah, shout out to my eldest boy, both my boys, but my eldest boy, he's in cadets, and I'm telling you, man, that is if you're in Canada or even, I don't know what the equivalent is in the United States. I'm pretty sure they have a cadet program, but it is really great for, just learning etiquette, learning how to have that je ne sais quoi. You know what I mean? It just kind of gives them boundaries growing up and morals. I love it. I think it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to us, too. We were braving it out in minus 30 today. Winter is here.
Holy man. Yeah, well, look, you've been traveling. You've been out on the West Coast. You've been in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You're back in the WPG, your birthplace now. I know you're heading back to Vancouver here sooner than later, but the fact that you got to experience a short window of Winnipeg and a real Midwest Canadian winter, tell me you didn't enjoy it a little bit.
I did. Look, so this is what I love the most about the coldest days. It's so clear and so blue. It's very visually appealing, very pleasing. But then you go outside and you're like, oh my God, Christ.
Well, I don't know if you noticed it on your drive home. I got it when I was heading home, but it gets so cold. And I think it was minus 23 centigrade when we were outside today. And
no, it was like 28 when we were outside today.
Was it minus 28?
It was 28. Wind chill was minus 32.
I don't know if you looked up at the sun, but because of the frost and the temperature and everything, we get what's called sundogs, where there's kind of like a circle around. It's almost like rainbows on either end. It's like this really cool, it's awesome. It's something that only happens in the north.
I like it. I've gone soft. This is the coldest day I think I've experienced since I left to go to Vancouver on a more full-time basis 2 years ago. So get what's coming to me.
Welcome home.
Thank you very much. A Christmas wish list, though. Nice pair of socks, I think. Mm-hmm. Every man needs a nice pair of socks.
Yep.
Obviously, Sheath Underwear, of course. And quality family time. Because if you don't have family, you don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Firmly believe that.
Yeah, so I agree.
But how about the gift that keeps on giving? Evander Kane's ex-wife, Anna Kane.
Man, you told me about this before we started the show, and I just had to kind of give the old head shake. Now, just to give you a bit of a background, this is Evander Kane's ex-wife, and I remember a time here in Winnipeg when he was playing with the Jets where there was some drama, and I won't get into the drama, but he actually took out a billboard in Winnipeg, like bought a billboard to say, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it's something along the lines of, I love you, I'm sorry, something like that to make good for whatever the drama was. And I thought, man, you got to have deep pockets to do that. Like, I'm not doing that to apologize to my wife for burning dinner. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the drama was, I was it worth it at the time? Probably, but man, oh man, that's something.
I mean, those billboards go for about $2,000 and a hook. That's ain't cheap to apologize.
Well, we do billboards in the fall and in the spring for our radio show, and I know that they do a big campaign, and I know they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. So,
I mean, the fact that the entire Cup final when the Oilers are playing the Panthers, her Instagram page is just a dedicated I Hate Evander Kane page, and go to Czech Brothers, I love Bobrovsky, Reinhart. I love the whole Florida Panthers team, and then she's celebrating their loss, and then she is unhinged. She has become completely unhinged.
Well, look, I'm never going to try and say that somebody hasn't had life experience, but on the surface, at least, it feels like she's making a career out of being a victim, which is unfortunate.
Well, and she's keeping the last name of Evander Kane, so if you hate him that much, change your last name back to what it was before. But
yeah,
I'm just going to mind my own business.
Yeah.
Mind my own business over here, Kermit the Frog.
By the way, did you ever notice that you're a fan of Ice Age? They're making another Ice Age movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. But Ray Romano, who does the voice of Manny, the big elephant-looking dude.
The Mammoth.
Mammoth, thank you. Have you ever noticed that he's like one octave away from being Kermit the Frog?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got Manny, who's Ice Age, and hey guys, stop doing that. And then hi ho, Kermit the Frog here.
I mean, they're very, very close, very, very close in cadence.
Sid the Sloth, man, he's a G.
That is John Leguizamo, and he does a fantastic job with that role. Yeah, man, what a cast! I'm looking forward to having them all back.
Same here. They don't make movies like they used to.
Queen Latifah's back as well. Yeah, I love it.
Who does she play? Mrs. Sloth?
Yeah, no, she plays Mrs. Mammoth.
Oh, he got a chick now.
Yeah, dude, have you not been keeping up with the Ice Age franchise?
Dude, I'm getting older. I'm 28 now.
Holy moly. Well, that's why I guess that's the best part about having kids, that you get to go back and experience all these things again. Oh, that's great.
Man, Sid's piping down a Mrs. Sloth. Manny's got a Mrs. Mammoth. Does Diego have a chick too?
Diego, yeah, he hooked up too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boys are flowing.
Yeah, right? No,
That's
I'm
awesome.
telling you. No, they've done a great job with that franchise. I'm looking forward to the new one. Hopefully they can do it justice.
Gift that keeps on giving, man.
Absolutely. Well, that's the best part about animation, right? Is that you as actors, you can age and still do the voice and, introduce it to a new generation. And marketing-wise, it's brilliant because, you introduce it to, now the Gen Zs when it was, or the Gen Alphas when it was the Gen Zs that kind of grew up on it. And now they want to go back and watch the old ones to get context. No, it's genius.
Speaking of aging, you remind me of a story of, remember Arturs Irbe?
Of course.
Legend.
San Jose Shark, worst face mask in the league. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Hurricanes icon, led him all the way to the Mug final in 2002.
Yep.
So I read a story the other day that he signed a PTO in Ottawa. And, he played.
Who did they lose to that year?
With the Hurricanes?
Yeah, because Paul Maurice was behind the bench on that one.
Yeah, Pimo led them all the way to the Cup final. They lost to the Red Wings. I think it was in 5.
Yeah.
Because they beat the Leafs in 6 to knock them out of the Eastern Conference final.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, they go to the Cup final, and Arturs Irbe was known notoriously for he didn't like new gear. He got what he got, and he used it until he couldn't use it no more. And I think he has the record. I think he used the same set of gear for 5 seasons from San Jose through Carolina. But so when he went to Ottawa on a PTO, his gear was kind of beat up. He couldn't use it anymore. And also he'd break gear in. He would take it with some hockey tape, tape the pads together, and he'd run them over with a truck. Mm-hmm. And that's how he broke in old school pads, which is insane to think about nowadays. Jonathan Quick actually used to do the exact same thing. He'd run them over with a truck. He liked the pads nice and soft. Because Arturs Irbe wanted the same set of pads, he ended up putting out an ad in the newspaper, in the Ottawa Citizen, I believe. Does anybody have this exact model of Hespler pads? I'm looking for this. We'll pay premium dollars. Couldn't find the pads, but that's iconic.
Well, okay, this is a great example, and I know I'm getting older when I use the old "they don't make them like they used to" line. But those pads were heavy. Like, I mean, I wasn't part of the generation where they were stuffing those pads full of hay. But I mean, it was foam and whatnot, not to the extent of what you guys are using in this day and age, where the stuff that you guys are using are rather thick. But those things would come and they were hard and they weren't custom. They were stock. You get them right off the shelf and you'd put them on and you'd have to kind of mold them to your shin. You kind of have to mold them to whatever your style of goaltending is. But the thing is about those pads, those would last you 2 or 3 seasons, where you guys now are maybe replacing them 2 or 3 times a season. So are they lighter? Yeah. Are they more ergonomical? Sure. But you're not using them year over year over year because they get banged up real quick. So it's the old time age question of performance over longevity. Mm-hmm. And I think nowadays it's performance. It wins every time.
Well, I love, honestly, just taking the gear out of the box and using it. Like a crisp, brand new blocker is going to have the hottest rebounds possible. The pads are going to be firm. They're going to hit the ice really solid, and they're going to slide really great. But I remember probably about 10 years ago, I think Carey Price might have been one of the first guys to do it. I remember he was wearing Vaughn. It was one of the last years he wore Vaughn. It was right after they traded Halak from the Canadians. But he would get brand new gear and just, boom, later that day. I think the last game of the season in 2010-2011 against the Leafs, he just debuted a brand new set. Came in the morning, used it for morning skate, boom, ready to go rock and roll, use it for the playoffs, which was unheard of at the time. Because remember, guys would use their gear for 2-3 weeks to break it in, get it soft and whatnot.
Totally. You'd use those in practice for at least, like you said, 2 or 3 weeks just to get like, okay, I'm comfortable with these enough now. They were practice pads and they were your game pads. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, the technology has changed without a doubt. But, yeah, you would have to kind of customize them themselves. And the things that I watched some of our goaltenders do, like even before a game, they would shove them underneath the benches where you would sit, in the locker room just to try and get some extra flex out of them, or else they were pretty stiff when you were putting them on getting out there.
Well, Hellebuyck does that too. He does that, and then I saw him, one of the guys in the Montreal system. He takes his pads, skate laces, ties them up tight as they go, and then leave them under the bench and let them sit for a couple of days to get more of like an S-curve shape. But it's interesting how that's changed because like I said, I love using it straight out of the box, put it on, use it in a game later that day. Was there a piece of equipment you always look forward to using, brand new, out of the box, you're excited for?
Stick. Yeah, every
Sticks
time.
Are nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I come from the generation where the Easton aluminums were fairly new, and they were still a two-piece, and you were still having a wood blade on the end. And it wasn't until I was done playing and got into beer league that I started using the one-piece composites. But no, a fresh piece of lumber there was nothing better.
Isn't that nice? So that feeling of a fresh stick, the puck coming off, crisp, clean. Doesn't have that dampering sound from getting hit and beat up so much. That's nice.
Well, you got to keep in mind too. Again, getting old, my generation, we had limited supply of what kind of sticks we could get. I mean, sometimes you had to go with like, oh, the lie's not the same as I used last time because Bauer didn't send those ones again, or the curve was a little bit different, or whatever it may be. So you kind of had to adjust on the fly. Where nowadays you can get the exact same stick. If one breaks for an entire season. I mean, you can make minute changes. Like the technology is unbelievable. But again, the longevity of those sticks are maybe a game or two, where back in our day, we would use those for months on end.
Mm-hmm. Well, the pro guys are using a brand new stick every single game. But I remember when I was a kid growing up, maybe like 10 through 13, the idea of using a composite stick, like you don't use composite sticks. That's what players use them for. They, for a harder shot, quicker release, goalies, you want wood or foam core. Now, those are dead. Mm-hmm. Everybody uses composites, and the goalie sticks now, they're having crazy cutouts. They're crazy thin. I think the sticks are down to probably under 600 grams a piece.
It blows me away why you guys break those things. They're so bloody expensive. I mean, I used to get chewed. I mean, we were paying probably...
The shafts would break the most.
If I remember correctly, I was using a Bauer Lindros.
Maybe a Bauer Triple X?
No, it wasn't a Triple X. We didn't have that. I don't want to say Bauer Supreme because I don't think that was it. But it was a Bauer. It was a Lindros, and they were going for $38 if memory serves correct. $38 per twig.
That was pricey back then?
Yeah. I mean, mom and dad having to shell that out every couple of weeks for a new twig was expensive, right? But nowadays, I mean, you go to Canadian Tire, your local big box department store, and you're lucky if you can find one for under $200. And so I think they always talk about, the kids look up to the pros, and watching you pros sit there and let in a bad goal or make a bad shot and smash that stick knowing there's 20 more on the bench waiting for you. Yep. The kids see that and they go, oh, mad smash. And the parents are going, oh, there goes another paycheck.
Well, imagine rolling into a store. You're paying $400, 400 rips for a brand new twig.
Right.
It's insane. I mean, even goalie sticks are getting up there $400, $420 for the top in line Bauer. Mm-hmm. I know the whole inflation and North America's getting out of control, but that's insane.
When is the last time you had to pay for a stick?
Well, I've had pro pricing the last couple of years. So like those same like $350, $400 sticks, if I want a new set, I get like $150, $175 a piece, which is a smoking deal. And then I get the new demos early, which I get taken care of by the Warrior guys and whatnot. But I've always been taken really good care of for sticks. And even playing pro, they give you the second of the line sticks or whatnot. You get like 6 of them. I take them, I sell them, I use that money, I buy my own sticks because I don't like those type of sticks. They're heavy. Some of them are foam core. But what do you think of goalies breaking sticks though?
Well, I think I just gave you my opinion on that.
Goalie specifically, though, because I know guys break them on the bench, but a goalie gives up a bad goal and then, boom, just tomahawk it over the post. See you later.
Well, I think it's a little bit different for goaltenders. I mean, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it wasn't the stick. I mean, for players, more often than not, if you make a bad play, you can blame the stick. It's usually not the stick, but you can blame the stick. But for goaltenders, 9 times out of 10, unless, we seen guys come out. Who was it the other day? I think the Flower. The Flower had one where his stick just snapped, right? Like, he just went out to play it. And he just put tension on the wrong part, and it snapped on him. So it's never the goaltender's fault when he's letting a goal behind him over his glove or over his blocker in between, whatever. It's not the stick's fault. That's just frustration. I understand frustration better than anyone. Again, I think it's setting a bad example for the kids who are seeing that and going, I'm going to do that too, and the parents are pulling their hair out for the price of them. But I have a better question for you.
Sure.
The deal that you get as far as being, the pro deal that you talked about, right? So you're paying wholesale, right?
Cheaper than that. Pretty much cost.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm very privileged to get that, by the way. I'm very fortunate.
Is that because, and it's called a pro deal, right? Mm-hmm. Is that because you are playing semi-pro hockey, or is that because what you're doing inside of the ether of the online community?
Both. So, like when I was in the Fed, I get the Fed pricing, right? So, like the same sticks, those are the prices that the guys in the Fed would pay, but you'd have to order through their team. And sometimes the team doesn't want to put that order in because they'd be paying up front. Sticks would come in. Maybe I give them a couple bucks off my paycheck to get those pro level sticks. I'm fortunate where the guys at Warrior want to take care of me, and I love the Warrior stuff. So I can order whatever I want directly through them as a part of their pro program, the same way the guys in the KHL would, or whatever other pro leagues would have it be. And instead of the team paying it, I pay it. So, and I don't want to start giving specific prices because they do take really good care of me, and I get a great deal on them. But that's pro pricing.
Okay, so let's just say down the road, you decide to stop chasing down pro hockey, but you're going to continue doing the online thing. Mm-hmm. Do you still get extended that pro pricing?
I guess we'll find out soon enough, won't we?
I would assume so, because it's always got to be a benefit to them. Or is it being visible? Is it being seen, right? And I would assume, based on some of the leagues that you've played in, you're getting more eyes on the gear that you're using online than you are when people are going to the games. Is that fair?
I'm putting ads and stickers on the gear anyway because I'm still paying for them. Because my idea was, I know I'm still paying a significantly discounted price, but instead of paying to promote another company, why don't I get paid to use the gear, and that'll offset the price, if not pay for it all completely.
So that's kind of what I'm getting to, is what criteria do you have to meet in order to be considered professional?
So I think to be a true pro, like a not minor pro, a real pro, your full-time income based off hockey has to sustain your lifestyle. So, and I mean, I guess that's kind of interpretive, because if I'm living at home with my parents at 25, 26, I don't pay any rent. I mean, anything more than $1 basically makes me a full-time pro because I don't have any expenses or any overhead. But if I'm living on my own, or I have a family to feed, like a lot of guys in the East Coast do, they have to make more money, or they have to play in the American League. So I would say, what do you think 30,000 is fair? 30,000 a year is a fair full-time pro salary to sustain it independently?
Well, I think the definition online would lead people to believe that you have to, at least 50% of more than 50% of your income has to be coming through your sport. Now, it's interesting in the definition, if I remember correctly, it's through your sport, not from your sport, right? Now, there's been I'll use Michael Phelps as an example. He was always considered a amateur swimmer. He was never a professional swimmer because he was not taking prize money when he would win these races in the pool, right? He won all those medals in the Olympics, but he made a ton of money through endorsement. So he made money through his sport, but not directly from his sport. So it didn't qualify him as a professional. Mm-hmm. But here you are in a situation where you're making money through hockey, but not directly. I mean, you are making money from hockey, but the money that you're making through hockey exceeds what you're making from the actual game. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an interesting question when it comes down to what makes you a professional when it comes to sport.
Well, what about this? So for minor pro, though, I know you're saying like to be a true pro, 50% of your income from the sport, or through the sport, right? Through or from?
Well, it says through the sport. It doesn't say from the sport. It says through the sport.
Okay. So if you're playing minor pro, though, guys in the Fed, I think the highest paid guy makes $1,200 a week, so $5,000 a month, and this is like the top player. So $5,000 a month,
$60,000 a year
ish, US, and obviously it's all under the table. So that's a significant chunk of change for the best player in the league. But if you're the average guy who makes between $500 to $700 a month ish, so that's what, $5,000 a season, $6,000 a season ish. I guess they're not making a whole lot of money in the summer because a lot of guys live at home. A lot of guys live off. Live at the team housing. That's actually a real thing. Guys will stay for the full summer and just cash in on that. So are they considered pros? Well, they're not doing anything else for money outside of that, so that's their full-time income. But then again, if you took what I make and just totally sliced off the YouTube, the podcast, the vlog, the sponsorship deals, all that stuff.
You're living in someone's basement.
Of course. But that's 100% of my income is coming from playing professional hockey or minor pro hockey. So I guess it's interpretive, but I would also consider if, let's say, I went to go play for a team and they said, okay, we're not going to give you $150 a week, $125 a week, whatever, but we're going to cover all your housing. You don't pay a single penny for housing for the next 6 months, 8 months. You live in a great spot. We'll give you sticks. We'll give you a vehicle. We'll give you a little bit of food money, like here's some groceries, whatnot. Is that pro hockey? Because although I'm not getting paid cash, I'm getting compensated with basically every other expense that I have. What do you think?
Well, again, the reason why I bring it up is because the odd time when I peruse through the comments on the YouTube podcast, there are people who are like, you're not a professional. So I'm just kind of wondering, what is the threshold for people to, I mean, do you have to be making millions to be considered a pro? Or does it mean that that's your full-time job? That's what you do. You don't do anything else outside of that to supplement that. That's your only gig. Does that not make you a pro?
I think there's only one way to solve that, and that's leave a comment in the comment section or call our voicemail line, the red line, and let us know what you think.
Well, look, the guys from Dude Perfect, you're familiar with that YouTube channel, right?
They're awesome.
Would you consider them professional athletes?
Ooh, that's a good question. Have any of them played a game of minor pro sports?
No.
Just on YouTube?
Just on YouTube. But
that's tough.
Okay, so are they professional trick shot artists?
100%.
Okay. So
let's use Zach Bell, though, because Zach Bell, he's never played a single, well, I think he's only played like 3 or 4 games of junior, no college hockey, no pro hockey. He does little stick trick deals, and he's getting $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year just off Instagram brand deals. Is he a professional? He's never played a game of pro hockey, but he's reining it in. He's making more than most guys in the American League.
Right.
So
now, and again, this comes down to maybe a larger conversation, but some people don't consider golf a sport. It's a game. It's a game. And there's a lot of athletes that play that game and realize, hey, if I'm in better shape, I'm going to play this game better. But you don't have to be in tip-top shape. And John Daly is a great example of that.
Legend.
Baseball, they call it America's pastime. There's an argument, and I'm not going to say what it is or the other, but you don't, if you're Bartolo Colon, you're not exactly a high-performing athlete, but you can zing a ball in at 102 miles an hour.
Or David Ortiz.
Right. I mean, take your pick. Curling here in Canada. You don't have to be an athlete, but it certainly helps when you are. Mm-hmm. And so if you're getting money from that, all of a sudden you're considered a pro athlete. So I think it's a bigger conversation, and not that I'm triggered by it at all, but I know that's, from what I've seen, that's a big dominant comment in there going, oh, you're not a pro, where I go, this is all you do. This is all you do.
Well, at the end of the day, people can have whatever opinion they want because this is a public show. You're allowed to have that opinion. But I've played pro games. I've cashed checks playing professional hockey, whether they're from sketchy checks you have to cash at a Russian bank or a prepaid Visa. I've gotten paid to play hockey. I've gotten free gear. I've gotten free living. I've lived a lifestyle. I've got a life experience, and my life has been changed because of it. And you can never take that away from me.
Right.
Have I made millions? I wish, but I've done it. I've lived a lifestyle. I've played pro hockey. You'll never take that away from me.
Well, somebody who does YouTube in their part-time, they're not making millions on it, but are they making a few extra dollars?
Let me ask you this, though. One of the guys that I played with in Watertown, he was the highest paid guy on the team. He also had a landscaping business making $100,000 a year, most of that coming in the summertime. But hockey was just a slice of pie in the whole scheme of his income. So is he a professional then, or is he not?
Professional landscaper? I would say so.
Of course, but that's making way more money. And he did a great job, too. He had a lot of good Google reviews.
Yeah.
But he's making way more doing the landscaping than he was playing professional hockey. So by those standards, he's not a professional hockey player, even though he's played games. He was our best player. He was our leading scorer. Great, a personal friend of mine as well. So that's, call the voicemail line. We have a new voicemail. It's called the Red Line. You can go in the link in the video description, leave a voicemail, call it anytime, anywhere. Anybody can call, but whatever you want, leave a voicemail, and you might make the next show because let us know what you think about that.
Are we going to get to a few of those?
End of the show.
Okay.
I think we're gonna make that a new thing for every single show moving forward. So because we already chopped up the clips for this week, we're going to do a bunch this week. The full lengths, all of the voicemails will end up on the YouTube Clips channel. Just the hits will end up on the full length show as you see here. If you're on the audio version, you'll hear it. But call our voicemail anytime. Whatever you want, we would love to hear it.
We'll tell you. You may not get a pro deal if you're a beer leaguer on sticks, but I'll tell you where you can get a pro deal.
Sheath Underwear.
That's on the best underwear money can buy.
Ever has and ever will buy. Only from the team at Sheath Underwear. The holiday season is here. If you haven't gotten Sheath for your family, for your father, and they're disappointing, you can still fix it for New Year's. You still
Get it from
have
your
time.
mom, your sister, whatever. They do girls' line too. Get it for anybody.
Get it for yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself a gift.
Oh my goodness, I love wrapping up stuff for myself. Oh, I'm surprised every year.
To me, from me. Oh,
You shouldn't have.
you're so nice. But Sheath Underwear. So the team at Sheath is powering the podcast. They have since day one. Reason why it's so great, they have the dual pouch technology. It is a separated, segregated compartment for your dick and your balls, your bocconcinis, and your cannolis to separate, to be in there, not touching. They're not going to be sweating, sticking the side of your leg. There's nothing worse than just peeling it off the side of your leg. You got to adjust in public. People are judging you. Fix it. Get comfortable, get aerated. Their new bamboo mesh technology, their brand new and improved bamboo mesh is cooling. It's comfortable. It's better than it ever has before. And right now, go to the link in the video description. Click that link, sheathunderwear.com. Put in the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69, your favorite number, because it's hilarious. You'll get 20% off the greatest underwear money ever has and ever will buy, only the team at Sheath. U.S. made, by the way.
Yeah.
In Denver. Well, just outside Denver.
Nice.
But thanks to Sheath for sponsoring the show. Road apples.
That is a term that not only is it the name of a Tragically Hip album, which I highly
incredible.
recommend you listen to. God bless you, Gord Downey, rest in peace. It is also a term that has been used in the House of Commons in Canadian politics, but it's imagine a horse going down the street, and horses go wherever they want, and they drop a number 2 on the street, and when you're driving over that's what's known as a road apple.
Or cow pie, right?
Well, so a cow pie, yeah. So, I mean, one comes from a horse, one comes from a cow, and they, without getting too graphic, they clump differently when they hit the ground.
One's more like a splat, one's more like a puck.
Kinda, yeah. And so I remember hearing stories from my uncles who grew up on the Raisin River, pardon me, and they didn't have pucks. I mean, like vulcanized rubber was not something that you could just go get at your corner store, right? And so when wintertime would roll around, you'd wait for the cow pies to freeze, and then you'd take them out on the pond, and that's what you'd use to move around the rink until you hit it too hard, and it hit something, and it exploded, and then you'd go grab another one.
Could you imagine being the goalie, you get smacked in the face? They didn't have any masks back in the early 1900s. You get smacked in the face with frozen horse dung.
It was cow dung. Cow dung. Cow pies. But the good news is that it would be, think of like putting a chocolate bar in a freezer. If that was to break, it breaks off in shards. It doesn't like splat and stay on. It breaks off like ice. That was the good news.
I know, but that's still nasty to be a goalie and you're getting smacked in the face with frozen
Sure
horse.
it is. Absolutely.
But what a time, though. Honestly, they probably came up with it at a time like where we are today, where it's minus 30 outside, freezing cold, get in the pond, little stick and puck, shoot the frozen horse turds, and then play some outdoor pond hockey. And then they're like, you know what? It'd be better instead of being on shoes, let's make skates. And that's how hockey came to be.
Now,
It was in Montreal, was it not? That's where they founded hockey?
That is very contentious. There are rumors about it being over in Scandinavia as well, some of the northern parts of Russia, here in Canada as well. So it has a very vast, but the Canadians get the credit for kind of making what the modern game is. But it's interesting because Canada has 2 national sports, hockey being one, lacrosse being the other one. And I'm going to go on my best memory, and please feel free to fact check me on this one. But from what I understand, lacrosse was played from village to village. And it wasn't necessarily like, hey, we're going to play on this pitch today. It was literally, the idea was, and I'm probably going to get a lot of this wrong, but from what I understand from my memory, and this is going back a while, they would play with the head of a corpse in their netting, and you had to take that head and bring it over to the other village.
What kind of corpse? Body? A human?
Yeah, like a human head.
Oh, boy.
That's what they would use as their ball.
Bob would want this. This is what he wants.
And then I don't know if it was a skull or whatever, but it was something round, and it was a lot easier to do that because they would create the nets and whatnot, and they would use those from fishing, and that's kind of how lacrosse started. So it comes from very humble origins. I mean, even golf goes back to just stick and an acorn, something as simple as knock it in the hole. So, I mean, the origins of all these sports. I've always said that baseball is just a really poorly explained version of cricket, and American football is just a really poorly explained version of rugby. You know what I mean? It's just it's like the old telephone game. Like I tell you a sentence, and then you go telling somebody else, and you go tell somebody else. By the time it gets to the third or fourth person, the story has changed. Same thing with sports. I mean, from its inception, the genesis of the game to where it is now is completely different. And if you were to fly somebody like Henry Ford, who created the automobile, to what he's seeing today, he probably would have went, I'm not making that anymore. That's not what I had in mind. So probably the same thing with sport.
How much do you want to bet the origins of the actual physicality in hockey was, I just want to cross-check the village asshole and just give him a CFB. Check from behind, just give him 2.
Well, look, I've spent enough time in Mexico that they played a game down in the Mayan history where the winning team, and I found this kind of interesting, and I equated it to modern day, but the winning team would sacrifice their best player to the gods, right? But in a weird way, you think about it, it's like, all right, you beat us, you got to give up your best player to equal things out a little bit. So the next time we play, it kind of balances out. You won, your best player's gone. You can't use him anymore. And it was an honor. It was an honor for them to sacrifice themselves as the winner. They'd be like, yes, we won. Goodbye, everyone. I get to go down in the history books as a winner.
Imagine they're having morning skate. They're having their pre-meetings and kind of like semi-pro Will Ferrell. We want to win, but not by too much. What do you mean? No.
Okay, guys, let's go for a tie tonight. Tie's good.
Hey, 125 points. We got to give everybody here a free corn dog. Vakaida's got to sacrifice himself. We don't want to win by too much. 1-0.
No, that guy still owes me 20. We can't win this game.
Imagine being the goalie. You don't want to make too many saves. Oh, sorry, guys. Guess I'm not the best player tonight.
Darn it, I got a hat trick. What was I thinking? I got a wife and kids at home.
And he's dead. What an idiot. More for us.
Anyways, we're not doing that anymore, obviously. But yeah, it's and you know what? The game will change 150 years from now too. And looking back on what we did now, people got to go, oh, they got it wrong.
You know what? I get that the game has changed. One thing that really does amaze me with all the change and with the technology and the sticks, the social media, the media coverage, and which we've documented lots. Sidney Crosby is a guy that no matter what happens, he has never done anything stupid to end up in the media, despite the fact he's been everywhere on TV since he was 9 years old, 10 years old. Think of all the dumb shit guys do. I remember one of the guys in Montreal about a decade ago got arrested for beating up some lady and stealing her purse. Can't remember his name. Patrick Kane with the cab driver punching him out over like 8 cents change. I mean, the Hockey Canada scandal, which we've talked about quite a bit. Crosby hasn't done anything dumb. We don't even know if he's married.
Okay, well, it's not that he hasn't done anything dumb.
That we've found out about.
But here's the thing. He has been very well guarded and insulated. Keep in mind, Wayne Gretzky had similar treatment in Edmonton, and it was a smaller market. It was in the north. Nobody cared as much. The media about professional sports wasn't as much back then. Not as much as it was in Montreal and Toronto and Boston and New York and your 06 teams. But Gretzky, after he retired and after he was done, then he was a little more open. And he's still not 100% open, but he has a history, he has a past, and so does Sidney Crosby. And I've told the story before about a buddy of mine, good friend of mine, who he was actually a groomsman at my wedding, had a cup of coffee with the Penguins and got to share a locker room with them, and said, all the boys would go out after the game, but Sid would go to his own spot with a few trusted people. And keep in mind, Mario Lemieux saw what this was and knew that he had to be protected and made sure that he was guided through. So in a way, and I know this is going to sound very odd, he won't, this is going to sound really odd coming out of my mouth. He won't fully grow up until he's out of the game because he has been, and pampered's the wrong word, but he's been so well guarded. And once that's done, it's kind of like the Truman Show. He's finally out of the bubble. He's finally out of everyone around him, making sure that is going to be okay. It's like, all right, if you leave these walls, you're on your own, and things will change. And in his opinion and all these different things will change about him. And I think he'll realize, looking back, going, wow, I may have missed out on a lot of things, and I appreciate how well guarded I was because he is an ambassador for the game and has been for the past 20 years. So I think it's important to do that for guys like that.
We've talked about it with McDavid, but it must be so hard for a dude like that to make friends.
Sure.
To be one of the greatest players of all time. I know that you've had the top morning show in the city of Winnipeg for now 21 years, for those counting. I've had a hard time making friends as well, just from playing pro hockey, and then obviously having the
you're moving around a lot, and
yeah, well, and also too, like, it's, at least for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way. It's hard to like trust people because do you want to get to know me, Travis the goalie, or Travis the person, or the YouTube guy, or the podcaster, or the morning show guy? But to be the greatest player on earth since he was 9 years old, you can't trust anybody. That's got to be hard.
Well, and that's why he's got, people around him. And it's no different than any other industry. When you are the tops of that industry, you are very well guarded because you have to be protected because it grows the game overall. If and we'll use it as an example, we'll go into a different parallel universe where, maybe he wasn't as well guarded, and he was allowed to kind of have the run of things. And we're kind of seeing now in music, especially with a lot of these artists who got to do whatever they want. Now, 20 years later, things are coming out where it's like, maybe they weren't the best role model ever, huh? And I'm not saying that about Sid at all. I'm not saying that, but a lot of times they're so well guarded that a lot of things have a blind eye turned towards them.
I'd love to know more about Sid, to be honest with you. Sid and Connor, I have a feeling once Connor wins a cup, we'll start to get to know more about him personally. He'll kind of like let back a bit because he's so focused on that. But I like to know more about both of them. Bobrovsky's another guy. I get it. He's one of the Russians, and the Russians, we really don't know a lot about them, to be honest. It's kind of like the depths of the ocean. But Sid and McDavid are definitely two guys I like to get to know a lot more.
Well, here's what I don't like, and it's across most sports that everyone they have expectations of these players. Hey, you're doing this job, you're in the limelight, you have to do it this way, and if you do it wrong, we're going to tear you down. And listen, I've been a victim of cancel culture before, and it sucks. It really does. But anytime somebody steps out of the boundaries and gives an honest opinion about something, they go, oh, he's the worst person. How could he say that? He's just supposed to say 20 more miles to go in the third period.
20 miles.
Make sure we're firing on all cylinders. He's supposed to use the cliches that we're all used to. And when we go, yep, he said it right. The second somebody steps out of that, they go, oh, what was that? We don't allow them to have actual real life opinions. Live in that bubble, be in that bubble. That's what we expect. That's why we enjoy it.
Because they stand out so much. Because everybody else is giving the cliches, which, the intermission interviews are so pointless because they just rattle off the same cliches. Hem them in, puck Steve, we're just trying to get 2 points. But the second somebody stands out, like a Brad Marchand lately, who's been just tearing up the world as far as comedy goes in hockey, which is great for the game, by the way, everybody starts looking at that and saying, why are they talking about that? Right? You're supposed to stand in line. But I like it. I love personality. I think the game needs more of it. I think the world in general needs more personality, not just this cookie cutter, this is the status quo.
Well, look, we've talked about it on past episodes, but look, more often than not, it's usually somebody who's not speaking the native language that you're used to that comes out with some of the best quotes because they don't have a full grasp on the language. It's like, well, at least he's speaking English.
The Russian guy in Toronto.
Exactly. Or even, a lot of these baseball players or a lot of, that come from Cuba or Japan or wherever they're coming from. Those are the people who go, oh, he's so cute. He doesn't even speak English, but he said something cute. Oh, it's awesome. It's just so hypocritical, and I think it's hilarious. But you mentioned Marchand. The thing that him and Biz did in early December that I thought was hilarious was after the whole dust up that Biz had, which we've covered on the show numerous times. But their back and forth, I thought was so entertaining, and it's nice to see that kind of creativity. That's the kind of stuff I think the game is starving for, is a little bit of personality.
Desperately.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so
in comparison to the corp.
Well, and this is how I see it. You look at, let's say, Hockey Night in Canada and CBC. When Don Cherry got shit canned, that was the end of Hockey Night in Canada. That was the end of Canadian hockey broadcasts because they suck. And the broadcast right now, I get it. Kevin Bieksa has a little bit of personality, but you can't tell me he's not being whipped behind the scenes like, this is what we're going to say, this is what we're going to do. They're all boring. And I don't mean to be rude. This is just my opinion personally. With the Hockey Night in Canada panel, when you're going out of your way to DEI hire, which, by the way, for those that don't know, DEI stands for didn't earn it. With all these DEI hires to be in the panel, we're going to have a panel. We're going to have a panel that's going to talk about professional hockey in the NHL that have played the equivalent of AAA boys hockey that has no contact.
I know Jennifer Botterill personally. She is a wonderful human. She knows a lot about the game.
I never said she wasn't.
She knows a lot about the game.
I'm sure she's a wonderful lady, but they should take her off the panel and put her somewhere else because I can't stand it. The TNT panel, where you have all former professionals that understand the game and are not DEI hires, I could watch that all day long. All day long. The Hockey Night in Canada panel is unwatchable.
But you are somebody who has played in those ranks, so it's a little bit different from you. You got to keep in mind that they're going after the regular audience. Do
you think the regular audience wants that, though?
Yes. I think for somebody who is trying to get their wife to sit down and say, honey, just please sit down and watch Hockey Night in Canada with me, please. We watch your Survivors and we watch your 90 Day Fiancé. Please. At least she can sit down and see, oh, Jennifer Botterill. I remember that name. She was an Olympian. Okay. That's what they're going for. They're going for mass audience.
It doesn't tickle my fancy.
It's not supposed to.
Of course. If you disagree, leave a comment in the comment section below. Or
call the red line.
Call the voicemail. You can call anytime, any hour of the day. If it's 2 a.m. you're listening right now, boom. Leave us a voicemail. You'll make a future episode of the show.
Okay. So listen, I think it's a great opportunity to get into the cut of the week. You know the sponsor on this one. We talked to this guy. I had some of their habanero beef jerky last night. I found an extra one. I thought we had eaten it all. The boys didn't touch that one. Oh, it's solid.
Brought to you by Brisket Jerky USA. They've been a cut above the rest since 2022. Whether we're talking about the brisket jerky, maple bacon jerky, cashew brittle, they're amazing white cheddar espresso popcorn. They're all fantastic. Got some amazing snacks, which we'll talk about more in a second. But Cut of the Week is our feature highlight of the week, and figure since this is our Christmas episode, it's got to be Christmas themed. There's only one answer for me. The Dominator, Dominic the Hasek, belting out Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I like that. What do you think?
I give him credit for attempting to sing. God love him. Mine's a little bit different. I think the cut of the week should be cutting out professional sports being played on Christmas Day. And I'm calling you out, NFL. I'm calling you out any other league and it's not necessarily the athletes. It's not necessarily them. I mean, I'm including them in there because they're working. But
does the NHL go on Christmas Day?
No, but the NFL does.
Okay, and the NBA as well.
NBA as well. I don't like it because now you've got concession workers that have got to work. You've got parking attendants that got to work. You've got all these people that got to work. It's like one day out of the year, man. That's family time for everybody. That's where you throw on an old Christmas movie. That's where you throw on, Charlie Brown or whatever it may be. You get sports 364. You don't need it 365. Let's take a day.
But how much do you want to bet those staffers and they're saying, hey, Wheels, you want to do triple time or double time? They're saying that sounds pretty good in the paycheck. Although, at least in Canada, the emperor takes half. God bless JT. But
I don't know, man. I think they should, as far as the cut of the week, they should cut that out. And Beyonce performing.
I like that one.
Right? Beyonce performing at halftime at the, yeah.
You see Shania Twain perform lately?
I saw her perform with Sabrina Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter, who's a big pop star right now. She's actually related to Nancy Cartwright, who does the voice of Bart Simpson.
Mm-hmm. Sabrina is.
Is
she Canadian?
No, she's American, but she does the "Is that me espresso?"
I wish she would have called it blonde espresso, not me espresso, because she's blonde.
She is. She did a Christmas special called A Nonsense Christmas, and she had a whole bunch of guests on. And Shania Twain, Canadian from Timmins, Ontario, had her on, and they did a cover of Santa Baby and harmonized beautifully. Shania's great. She's an absolute gem.
Shout out to the Timmins Crunch junior hockey team in the NOJHL and the Noj. But Shania, so she's been performing lately, I've seen at least, in basically like underwear and a bra at 60 years old.
God love her.
Man, that don't impress me much.
Stop. No. I'm telling you, man. I'm a shout out to Bob Knuckles Irving, the retired voice of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I've never seen a guy have a bigger crush on somebody before than Shania Twain. And
really?
Bob Irving is one of my.
She's a beautiful woman. I'm not taking that away from her. She was a.
Women can be sexy at any age. Any age.
I'm not.
Any age.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying at 60, maybe let's put some clothes on.
Not any age.
A little bit more clothes on.
If she feels sexy, then she is.
What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below.
Call the red line.
Call the voicemail line. Let us know. Tell me what you think.
Are we getting to those? You want to get to those?
Do you want to do Tim Hortons or do you want to go right to the voicemails?
Let's do the voicemail.
All right.
Yeah, we'll save Timmy's for next week. It'll be a new year.
Let her roll.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, we have a brand new segment. It's called the Red Line or the Goal Line. If you have a better name, please let us know because we're still kind of in the process of getting everything together here. But you call us in, whatever you want. We have calls about hockey, ladies, personal problems, anything you want. Call it anytime. Let us know. And we're gonna start picking the best, let's say 2 to 5 every single week. So every episode will have that. If it's not one of the best, my apologies, but we'll get you in the full-length version of the voicemails for the YouTube Clips channel as well. So thank you to everybody that submitted.
Link to that down in the pod script. Yeah.
Call anytime. Call as many times as you want. I think there's a limit for about 1 minute and 30 seconds, but yeah, call us. We'd love to hear from you. Have you be a part of the show.
You ready?
Rock and roll.
Hey guys, it's me, Tyler. I don't really want to talk about...
I know that voice. That is my co-host on the radio morning show, the Energy 106 Wheeler in the morning show. I know that voice. That is that's my guy. That's my radio wife. That's Tyler Carr. You ready? Okay.
Hey guys, it's me, Tyler. I don't really want to talk about hockey. It's crazy that voicemail better than we have at the radio station. Bye.
That's your co-host.
That's lit. Thank you, Tyler. We'll have a meeting about that after the next show.
Just got engaged in gay.
He did. He certainly did. Congratulations, him and the noodle.
You like hot dogs or corn dogs?
All right, you ready for another one?
Yes, sir.
All right, Trav, look, we both know it. You're a good-looking man, right? Some could even say a young Travis Kelce. You rode the bench a little bit. No offense. That sounded really bad. There's no offense to you, right? You played pro and I haven't. You could pull. We know you can pull, Trav. It's kind of just like it's proof. How do you pull women off the bench there? Because, like, some of the games I'm at these college games, whew, some baddies, but your boys are starting right bench, and I need some tips, Trav.
Go ahead.
I mean, it doesn't hurt when you're 6'5" and somewhat charming
Somewhat.
and humble.
Somewhat. Somewhat on both of those accounts.
In all seriousness, what do you think is the secret sauce there?
Listen. I'm not the best looking guy in the world. Once my wife sobers up and gets glasses, I'm in big trouble. But women will, if you're charming and you can make them laugh, it's a lot better than making them cry.
Well, I think one of the things that I've talked about, and I've told you and it's been on the show many times, is as the backup goalie, which I've specialized in doing over my entire career, is you got the last name in the back of the J. So glance back and make eye contact with the crowd. Get her attention, because eye contact it draws you in. Let her know you're making eye contact with her, and then when you look away, she can see the last name in the back of the jersey. Boom. Hopefully it goes to Instagram first and not Elite Prospects to see my actual statistics. Boom. Slide on in. Drop a follow. Oh, that blonde up there in section 3 followed me. I'll follow her back. I'll like a couple things. See if we can kind of get the ball rolling here. That's my secret sauce.
Yeah, we didn't have that in my generation.
Well, you have a little bit of desire coming from her. You got to get that genuine burning desire, because if you just start like hitting them up randomly, ain't gonna work. Or if you be like, hey, message me on this, that doesn't work.
Next call.
This is Dylan. It's calling in from Minnesota. I've been noticing an issue over the last couple of years with the refs in the NHL, where it seems that they've been missing a lot more blatant calls. And it seems that they're starting to go towards how the NFL is with pushing a narrative. The refs know the rules, but they expect the players to know every single rule perfectly off the top of their heads, even though the refs are there to establish an even game.
Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of theories out there about, the NFL's rigged, the NHL's rigged, they only want these teams to win. I get it. I hear you. I understand. I'm not discounting them, but I think it's a little far-fetched. I will say this. In this day and age, referees also have the ability to build their profile online. And now that they've given them microphones, similar to the way the NFL does it, the NHL, the guys now turn on their microphone and they announce the penalty before the PA announcer does, to let everyone know, this guy for this guy, oh, whoa, whoa, and the big arm movements and whatnot. And we've had guys like that in the past. We absolutely have. I don't think there's necessarily a directive from the league coming down. I think it comes down to ref to ref. I think some of them, as much as they will admit that they don't, have bias against players, maybe sometimes teams. And I think that's what you're seeing, where they will ref one game differently than the other.
Well, some guys like to let them play. Some guys like to call everything.
Right.
They hit, like you mentioned, Marchand's going to be a little bit tougher in the corners than other guys.
Right. Some guys have a reputation.
Yep. And they're human. If you have human referees, you're going to have human error, which we don't want computers refereeing the game. We don't want computers doing anything. Just let the fellas ref.
Oh, listen. You're talking to the wrong guy about that one.
Trav, how do you maintain financial stability while playing semi-pro hockey, doing the odd sponsorship deal and beginning or end of your videos? How do you maintain financial stability? Is your YouTube holding it together, or how does it work?
Yeah, this has been the only source of income that I've had since pretty much 2018. With the vlog, and then obviously the podcast is kind of coming into its own full-time thing, but just being frugal, being somewhat cheap, not spending on luxury things. Like I don't have a vehicle. I haven't had a vehicle in years. I don't own an apartment. I don't own any stuff like that. And I just stay flexible and just focused on how we're going to make the next show and the next video, get some sponsorship deals. And that's, do you think that answered the question pretty much?
I think so. Yeah. I think if people want to know kind of how you're making, and how you're making ends meet.
Well, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
So like negotiating my brand deals, negotiating like if somebody's going to buy the rights to the clips online for the short form stuff or for the actual show or different segments, that's all part of the business and staying afloat. But yeah, I haven't had to work a real job since I got shit canned at Best Buy in 2018 at Christmas.
Good for you. God love you. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. All right, next call.
Hey, Trav. Hey, Will. Are you wearing your rubber boots today? Beep.
Did you get drunk and call the line?
Isn't it awesome that my former coach in Mississippi called in? I'm so happy that he called in. Hey, hope you're doing well.
Much appreciated.
What's up, Trav? It's Connor from New Jersey. So I'm not sure if I'm on the radar for any teams, and I was wondering, what's the best way to get recruited to a junior program?
Oof, that's a good question. Because when I was trying to come up through juniors, I would send a lot of cold emails, And that was really effective because not a lot of guys were doing that. Not a lot of guys were like into the whole social media thing. And okay, go find the team, find their email, boom, fire some cold calls and cold emails. But I think a lot of guys are doing that nowadays. So I just say like you have to stop pucks and be consistently good to try to get some attention, right? Like a lot of it is right place, right time. Like if a scout or somebody shows up, you have to perform. But
yeah, well, I mean, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. A lot of times it's the old adage of you don't get if you don't ask. And I think Tom Brady's a perfect example of that. That's a guy that was looked over by every school. He had to send out so many VHS tapes before finally getting picked up by the Wolverines. And, you know, to even get a crack at playing with the New England Patriots after Bledsoe went down, he earned that spot. He earned that spot of the Patriots as the backup and just waited for his time. So it's a combination, just from an outsider looking in, it's a combination of being proactive, but then taking the opportunities when they're presented to you.
Agreed. I think
you can't wait for it to fall in your lap. You can get to a point in your career where they start coming for you, but until then, you got to work for it.
Well, you got to be a Connor McDavid to get that happening. And I think there is some truth in allowing it to come to you because you can't negotiate genuine burn desire. If a team doesn't want you, there's no amount of cold calls or emails you're going to send that's going to change their mind. They're not interested. But you have to have them be interested. You also have to make yourself a name, get out there, get in front of them, and then ultimately you have to stop the puck because you can be the nicest guy in the world, shake hands, kiss babies, shake firm handshake. If you can't stop pucks, sorry, man.
Right.
Trav, I would like to say that I was a fan of you for a while, but you got to get a job at some point, man. You got to figure out a way to become a tradie up in Winnipeg or wherever the want to go. A lot of us wanted to play pro, but not all of us go and play beer league in Spain. Maybe you could find a beer league roster in like Kenya or Ecuador. You could probably find some good beer league teams out there and call it pro. Where you just play with like 4 other guys in a foggy rink. All I'll say is, by God, you need to get a job, Trav.
Hey, you're not wrong.
You have one. No, you have one.
Well, I was going to say he's not wrong in the sense of a lot of people do want to play pro hockey. I did it.
Yeah.
He didn't. Unless he's got elite prospects, prove me otherwise, but I did it and you didn't. And this is my job. This is my full-time thing.
And listen, I don't know you. You sound like a nice gentleman. You sound like the type of guy that I could sit down and have a beer with at a bar. But you say, yeah, I wanted to. But what did you do to get it? I think it goes right back to the last phone call. What did you do? What did you do to get it? Did you go as far as you went, and then when someone cut you, you went, all right, I guess it's over? Or did you keep going? Sounds like you didn't.
When that guy called in, he left the voicemail under Dave Wheeler's son. That was the name. It's like, I don't think the boys have hit puberty yet.
Here we go. Next one.
Hey, Trav. So I'm just here sitting in my dorm room, just reminiscing on the past, eating my Ritz crackers and cream cheese. But keep grinding, buddy. You got this.
It sounded more like a self-help meeting than anything.
You got this.
Crushing some cottage or cream cheese and crackers.
Nice, nice contrast in comparison to the last call.
Thanks for calling in.
Hey, this is Proud Wiley. My question is for you, Travis. I was just wondering that when you're backing up a game, are you sort of like rooting against your goaltending partner,
Great question,
to win the game, but at the same time, you probably don't want the other goalie to get a shutout? So that was my question. Do you sort of like root against the goalie and say if he does get a shutout, are you like, is it sort of like a bittersweet moment?
Well, I've seen you on your vlog chat up the goalies on the other end of the ice before and saying, hey, if it comes up, do you want to fight? No? Okay, all right, great. Okay, bye.
Well, he's talking about like on my team specifically. Like if I'm backing up.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the opposing goalie. I say apologies.
Well, I mean, the opposing team. I hope they choke on 1,000 bags of dicks and die. But as far as like my own guy, so younger Travis would have said, yes, I hope the goalie that's starting fails and chokes miserably so that I can get in. But I'm going to tell you where younger me was wrong. So hoping that, I think it creates like a very very negative energy and negative vibe, and other people can feel that and sense that. So when I became a pro and tried to conduct myself as a pro, being positive and being supportive in that relationship with the guy who's starting, and I'll use Motor City as the perfect example. Like Bab's going to play every single game. He played 3 games in 3 nights. I'm the backup. My job is to support him. He's going to see that and give more back to me when I do get an opportunity, and he's going to be positive about that. And the guys, because they're so used to seeing guys wanting each other to fail, like, oh, like Trav is really supporting our starting goal. He's a good guy. He's a team guy. I'm going to get in there. They're going to want to play for me. So obviously, I don't want my starting goalie to play every single game and have every single game be a shutout. Well, actually, you can get called up, and that could be very beneficial. But I'm not hoping bad things on him. I'm prepared. I'm a good teammate. Give him positive energy, positive vibes, because what goes around comes around, and let the chips fall where they may. Because as a goaltender, a lot of it is up to God's hands, right? Like you need your team to perform in front of you. You need the other guy not to be too good, so that way you can get in the net, and it's just...
Yeah, well, I mean, you goaltenders have always been on an island. I mean, where I know it's a team game, but goalies are more... Selfish is the wrong word, but you kind of live in that. You're either the hero or the goat, right? And so, yeah, you want the opportunity to be the hero every time. And if you're sitting on the bench, you can't be either. So I understand totally that you want the team to win, but when you're sitting on the bench, you don't feel like you really got the win.
Well, only one guy can play. So if you can mentally detach from that, hope well, wish the best of luck. If the opportunity comes, be ready to perform at all times. But just detach from it, and you're not going to be stressing out like, oh my God, I wish this guy would let up more goals. I want to go in there. Then you're all pent up with all this negative energy. When you go in there, now you're playing with negative energy as opposed to positive and loosey-goosey, because goaltending is a very loose experience. Like I think the more loose mentally you are, the better you play. You're just flowing, making saves. Hope that answers your question.
Last one.
This last tilt that I saw Trav have, he's this absolute mountain of a man beating this guy up harder than is unbelievable to watch. I got to say that for sure. Can't wait till he comes to Flint. Take it easy, fellas.
Next fella?
Listen, if he's talking about the last fight that you had in early December there.
Goalie fight, yeah.
You were the only one that swung punches, but he ended up on top of you, so he gets the W? I've never understood that.
I think he gets a point for not falling down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys mistake the takedown with the win, but it's like, dude, I totally respect the guy because I've asked so many goalies in my time. Keep in mind, I haven't played a whole lot of games, but I've asked so many guys, do you want to go if something happens? And because I'm such a big dude, most guys are like, nah, I'm good, dude. But this guy, even though he's way shorter, said, yep. And he ponied up some balls and said, let's go. So, mad respect. I still fed him his lunch and I hit him with the lunch pail on the way out, but mad respect.
How many did you connect on?
2.
Okay. How many did you swing? About 8 or 9?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was a good punch and odds.
Hit the chest protector once. I didn't get touched. I've actually never been hit in a fight. I've fought 3 players in my lifetime and now 1 goalie. I've never been punched 1 time.
Let's close this up. We can make this work. Wrap it up, Trav.
We got any more calls?
No, that's it.
All right. If you want to be a part of the show, call the voicemail. Call the red line, the goal line. If you got a better name for it, call in. Let us know that. You can call it anytime, anywhere, about anything, as many times as you want, and you may be part of the next upcoming show. But this is Slangin The Bizkit. I'm Travis Ridgen, your favorite former pro hockey goaltender. That's Dave Wheeler, top morning radio show host in the city of Winnipeg for now 21 years and counting.
We actually got an award for best morning show in Canada.
Really? Best duo?
Yeah.
Not bad. That's okay.
Shout out to Tyler Carr,
your morning co-host. But this is Slangin The Bizkit. We do a new episode every single Sunday. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Merry Christmas, by the way, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
We'll see you for the New Year's special next week.